Welcome, everyone. This is Rashad Woods with the Tron podcast, The Randomness of Nothing. On this show, we'll be talking to subject matter experts, hobbyists, so you can be inspired to reach your better self, maybe learn that new career, new hobby, learn something new from the experts in their fields. Right now, from Toronto, Canada, I'm honored to be with Mr. Nicky Billou. Just a quick background with him real quick. He's an entrepreneur, best-selling New York Times author, 2 times, author, motivational speaker, and a very well-known businessman in Canada with some of the largest entrepreneurs in Canada. I got to say, I'm honored to have his time. I don't want to take up too much of the talking. Thank you very much for joining the show.
It's an honor to be here, man. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm your first ever guest. It's a big deal.
I'm blown away right now, to be quite honest with you. It's an honor and a pleasure. Thank you very much. I know I dived a little bit back in your background. I don't want to take up all the time talking. I know your time is real valuable. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you became to be the person you are?
Absolutely. I'm actually originally an immigrant from the Middle East. I'm a Christian from Iran. When I was 11 years old, the Islamic Revolution took place in Iran, and it turned my world upside down. Now, my late father, God rest his soul, he could see the writing on the wall. This was not going to be a place to raise a Christian family. So he and my mom, they got together, they spoke, they made a plan to get me and my 2 brothers out of Iran. It took a few years, but eventually we left Iran and we settled where I now live in Toronto, Canada. Now, at the time, Rashad,
yes,
I was a kid, man. I didn't want to leave my home. I didn't want to leave my friends, right? But looking back, it was the single greatest thing Mom and Dad could have done for me and my 2 brothers. They took us from a legacy of tyranny to a legacy of freedom. Now, I believe inside every human breast beats the living heart of freedom. Every man, every woman on this planet yearns to march to the tune of their own drummer. And if you think about it, and you're in business, freedom is critical to you being able to be successful. Without freedom, you don't have free expression. Without being able to freely express yourselves, you cannot go out there and engage in creating a business. You can't have free enterprise. And without free enterprise, man, no entrepreneur can actually be an entrepreneur. They're going to need to kiss the butt of the people in power just to have anything go their way. So I think every person in business needs to be a freedom lover. Now, my dad, he was an entrepreneur. He loved people. If you met him, Rashad, you'd love him, man. He's the kind of man, if you were looking for work, he'd sit you down, call all his buddies till he got you a job. If you were trying to start a business, he'd sit you down, listen to what you had to say, give you his best advice, get you connected with people who could get you access to capital, clients, so you could get going. If you were trying to buy a car, a house, and you couldn't quite come up with enough money, he'd top you up with a loan, and he'd never let you pay it back. And people always say to me, man, when I tell them this, come on, Nicky, this doesn't sound real. This does sound too good to be true. Who actually does that? And I say to them, well, the late, great Napoleon Billou, for one. And then they go, why would he do that? What's in it for him? What's the percentage? I go, listen, the percentage? He was a devout and committed Christian, and he believed he'd been blessed by God and his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And it was his duty to share those blessings with his fellow man and woman. You know?
Right.
And he also did it because he could. He was rich. He was successful. I wanted to be like him. I wanted to be somebody people looked up to, because people to this day come to me and say, hey, Nicky, man, are you Napoleon Billou's son? And I go, yes. And they say, I need to shake your hand. He did this for me. He did that for me. He did the other for me. And I wanted to be just
fantastic.
Like him. Really did. And so I decided to get into business because I wanted to be like my father. And my father would always say to me, son, you're in business. Remember, life isn't about money. It's about people. And I go, okay, Dad. And he said, son, even business isn't about money. It's about people. I said, but Dad, without money, you can't do business. He goes, that's true. But without people, there's no need for money to do business. All business is solving problems for people for profit. And that's all it is. That's all it is.
Wow.
And so I decided to get in the business of helping other businesses become successful. Because you see, I could see that sometimes, business owners are good at what they do, Rashad, but they're not good at marketing or sales. But I was good at marketing and sales, right? So I thought I can show these people how to get good at marketing and sales. Well, the first thing is, it's a mindset. A lot of people don't want to be seen as pushy or salesy, right? So I'd sit down with them and I'd go, okay, man, here's the deal. Don't look at it as sales. Let's reframe how you look at it. Look at it as service. Now, you don't want to be sold. I don't want to be sold, right? But don't you love being served by a good person?
Of course.
Right?
That's absolutely.
100%, right? So when people took the attention off of, are they going to buy from me? Are they going to like me? And they put the attention on, how can I serve them? They would double, triple, quadruple their business. And that's how I got involved in businesses. I got in the business of helping people who are good people get out of their own way so they could create a business that would actually be worthy of the greatness that God has put in them. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think too often, like even when I started this podcast, I got in my own head. It's like, what if people don't like me? What if I ask the right questions? And you start formulating all these reasons why you don't start. And then one day you're just driving in the car and you're just like, what's my problem? Why don't I just do it? I mean, there's never going to be a perfect time for me to start this, right? And sometimes the perfect for me started becoming the enemy of the good. And I said, what's the worst thing that'll happen? People will say, I'm not interested. But what was crazy about it was you reached out to me really quickly. And I got a little nervous because I'm like, oh my gosh, somebody reached out to me. How do I actually proceed with this? So I said, man, I'll just talk, and you made me really comfortable actually pursuing this because people who are successful, I've noticed, want to share that success with other people.
They do.
Right? And they want to tell them how to get out of their comfort zones. So I thank you for that. Very much appreciated.
My pleasure.
So I just want to dive a little bit deep in your background. I look, you have a great story. You lived in 5 different countries, 3 different continents. You went to University of Toronto, Georgetown University. Can you just explain, how that all came to be?
Well, when we left Iran, right, we initially weren't able to immediately come to Canada, right? So we went to Europe. So I lived in Greece for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then from there, we applied for the equivalent of a green card. In Canada, they call it landed immigrant status instead of a green card. So that took a couple of years before they gave us that. And then from there, we moved to Canada. And in the meantime, like we traveled a lot. Like I've lived in Switzerland for a few months, right? For about when I was a kid as well. Mom and Dad sent us there. I was in America for a couple of months in the 70s, and then again for a couple of years in the late 80s and early 90s when I did my master's degree at Georgetown University as well. And coming from Iran, it was important to my parents that we be citizens of the world in some respect, that we learn what other people were like and all about. Like my dad went to school in the UK. My mom went to school in Denmark from Iran. So they studied abroad and they came back home, and they were very sophisticated cosmopolitan people. And that's how they raised me and my 2 brothers, right? They raised us to have not just a provincial, narrow view, but to have like a bit of a more global view, to be able to see things from different people's perspectives. And like, I've never been somebody who just lived in one area and has only been comfortable with one kind of person. Like, I know people from dozens and dozens of different backgrounds and countries, and it's actually fascinating and interesting to me. I love meeting people from all over the world.
That's awesome.
I love meeting people. Like I'll tell you, one of my favorite foods outside of my home country of Iran's foods is Ethiopian food. I don't know if you've ever had Ethiopian food.
No, I never have, actually.
Brother, it is legit awesome. Like those folks just make such fabulous food. Like if you want to experience something and have food that is delicious, be prepared for it to be a little hot, though. I'm telling you, the Ethiopians are into like some heat in their food, man. It ain't for the mild of heart. It ain't for the mild of heart. I'll tell you that right now. But how you eat Ethiopian food is they have this spongy bread called injera, right? And you don't use utensils. You tear off this injera, you grab the food, and you make a little mini sandwich out of it, and you eat it, right? And it's made out of a grain called teff, right? Which is a non-gluten grain. It's so the bread has no flavor to it. It's like
it's funny. We have a couple of friends
type thing, right? But you grab this food, man, and you pick up. They've got this dish called kitfo, and kitfo is basically like steak tartare. It's raw beef, but doused in hot sauce, right? And you grab the grab the injera bread, you grab up the kitfo and you eat it, and it's freaking delicious. It's unreal how good it is.
Oh, that sounds
they have
delicious.
all these like
That's awesome.
veggie dishes again with a lot of hot sauce put into them, and you wrap all this up in the injera and you eat that again. I'm telling you what, it's phenomenal, right? And most people they're not into this kind of food. They never heard of it, but people who try this food they just die for it. It's so good. And Ethiopians, right? They're very unique looking people. So their skin is like the color of like creamed coffee. You know what I mean? They're like East Africans, right? So they're lighter color skin, and their features, man, they're like some of the most beautiful people on earth. They have this very generous spirit, a generosity of heart. They're really, really cool to be around. And they've come from rough times too. They've had civil wars there. Hundreds of thousands of people have been killed. So, you get to meet people who've had family members that have been murdered just because they belong to the wrong tribe, right? And
that's terrible. That's so terrible.
It is. So people in North America, they always make me laugh. They go, "Oh my God, we got such a big racism problem in North America." I go, "Are you out of your mind? We don't have a racism problem in North America. Go to freaking rest of the world. I'll show you racism problem.
Right.
They don't like what tribe you're from. They kill you. They kill you.
Yeah.
They burn you alive and laugh while you're dying. Like, are you kidding me?
That's unbelievable.
We got good here, man. People here we are like simpatico. It's good. It's but this is because I've lived in so many different countries and I've seen all this around the world. I can tell you, I understand people. I love people. I love people from all different walks of life. I love people from all different cultures, continents, and I'm especially keen to meet people from a new culture when I've never met them. I've read about a lot of cultures, so before I even meet someone, let's from the Ojibwe culture in Southern Africa, man, I'm going to go and like read up on that and really understand it before I go speak to them, and then I want to get to know their food because they always have some cool food. You know what I mean? And,
well, it kind of connects people, I'm sure if
connects people, man. You break bread with someone, you get to know them, Like if you and I were living in the same city, first thing I'd do with you is say, Rashad, man, we need to meet. What kind of food do you like to eat, right? And then I'd want to know what kind of food you like to eat, and then I'd sit with you and I'd eat with you, I'd talk to you, I'd ask you questions. That's how you get to know your fellow man.
Right. And it breaks barriers down, right? You get people in a comfort zone, they have something that's tasty, and then it starts bringing back memories. And, hey, I'm going to open up myself up a little bit and tell you about this because this food's really good and it's a nice, loose atmosphere, right? And they're being serviced, not sold, if there's something else that comes with it. So, thank you. It's good you mentioned that because I do like to eat lots of different foods.
Yeah, that's good, man. Me too. Me too. It's a beautiful thing.
Tell us a little bit about E-Circle Academy, if you could. I was very fascinated by that.
Sure. Well, let me tell you a couple stories about some of our clients, right? Because what we do is we help our clients become like the go-to authority, the thought leader in their space. That way, a few things happen. First of all, they make a lot more money. So they can 5, 10, 20, 100-fold their money. That's always a beautiful thing, right? Making more money, we're fans of that.
Absolutely.
Secondly, though, it'd be easier for them to be seen as the authority. Like people go, "Oh, you're like the person who does X. You help people with Y problem," right? So, and finally, there's a hell of a lot more fulfillment because when you do what you really love to do and you are helping people and you're seen as an expert by a large group of people and you make a lot more money, that's fulfillment. All of that's beautiful fulfillment. So I'll tell you the story of a gentleman who was in our community. And this gentleman used to be in corporate life for many years, right? Mm-hmm. And his name was Carl Kramer. And I'm sorry to tell you that he passed away a couple summers ago from pancreatic.
Sorry to hear about that.
Yeah, it was sad. He was like
horrible disease.
63 years old at the time, I think. It was terrible. I met him when he was 57. And he had basically left corporate life to become a business coach. And he loved being a business coach, except for one thing. Well, when he was a corporate executive, he was an executive vice president. So he made money. He made $350,000 a year, right? So
right.
But
he wasn't hurting he wasn't hurting in the pocketbook, but he wanted personal fulfillment.
Not at all. But he was working 60 hours a week. He got burned out, so he quit. And when he became an executive business coach, he loved it, but he didn't love the fact that he took an 80% haircut. He went from $350 a year to $70 a year. That's a big haircut, right?
Absolutely. His lifestyle was predicated on that $350 a year.
So he comes to me because, he knew some people I'd coached who I had helped make a lot of money. And one of them, he just, he went and he said, so this guy was a fitness coach, right? He was a fitness coach. And he went to this guy and he's saying, yo, man, how come you look like you're making a lot of money? He said, because I am. He said, well, let me ask you, how much money are you making? The guy said, I make about $100,000 a month. He said, you make $100,000 a month? How the hell are you making $100,000 a month? He said, well, I got this dude. He's my coach. His name's Nicky Billou. You need to go talk to him, right? And guy goes, can you introduce me? He goes, yeah, here's his number. Give him a call. So the guy calls me and he said, yeah.
Right.
I hear, you're Dan's coach. I go, yeah, I'm Dan's coach. He says, can I talk to you? I go, yeah, sure. Come on over. We talk. Anyways, he signed up to do our program. Right. And when we started working with him, the first thing I asked him was, hey, Carl, so tell me, Carl, who's your ideal client? And you know what he said to me, Rashad? He said, I can help anybody with any business problem. And this is the first thing so many people say, and it's a mistake. Why is it a mistake? Because,
right.
Because listen, if I said to you, you came to me, let's say, Rashad, you wanted to start your own business and you wanted to make $250,000 a year, right? And you said, man, I want to do that within the next 3 years. And that's in your mind, right? But when you met me and you just say, so Nicky, tell me what do you do? And I looked at you and I said, Rashad, I can do anything. I can do anything for you, man. You name it, I can do it. What's the first thought that goes through your head? Who is this joker, right? Who is this joker? What's he talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's full of it, right?
Right.
But if instead of that, right, like I said, well, Rashad, I specialize in working with a certain kind of person. And this person that I work with is an entrepreneur or a person who is in corporate and transitioning to be an entrepreneur who wants to make their first $250,000, $500,000 a year. Now, Rashad, is that you? Are you an entrepreneur or are you transitioning out of corporate? Then you're thinking in your head, oh, yeah, that's me, right? And the beauty of that is that if that's not you, you go, oh, that's not me. So good marketing attracts the right people and repels the wrong people. So I'm trying to explain this to him. And he's like, okay, I guess that's why it's not working for me. I go, yeah, that is exactly why. And I said, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this exercise. So I created this exercise. It's called the ideal client exercise. So he coached a few people. I said, I want you to draw a Venn diagram, with the 3 circles, circle 1, circle 2, circle 3, that they all intersect. You know what I'm talking about. There's right?
Yep.
So I said, in the first circle, I want you to write down the clients you got the best results for. And he goes, oh, okay. I said, I want you to make a list of who all those were. So he made a list of all of them. And then I said, what was the result? So he had to make a list of the result he got for them. And then I said, I want you to write down what was the impact on you that you got him that result? How did it make you feel? So he started to write all that down. And I said, what was the impact on them? They got more confidence, blah, blah, blah. You write all that down. It was a pretty involved exercise. Then in the second circle, I had him write down who were the clients you enjoyed working with the most. So he wrote them down. And then I had him write down what was it that you enjoyed about working with them. So he wrote all that down. And I said, what was the impact on you of enjoying working with them? So he wrote that down. And I said, what was the impact on them of them working with you? So he wrote all that. Again, a very involved exercise. And then thirdly, I said, I want you to write down who was easy to do business with. Like, you gave them a price. Yep, here you go. Here's my credit card. Yep, they paid in full, right? You never had to chase them. They brought you referrals. So he made a list. And then I said, who is in all 3 circles? And it was a small group of people who was in all 3 circles. And Rashad.
Wow.
Small group.
That's who you focus on. Okay. That's unbelievable.
That's 6.
That's unbelievable. And of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm sure people are thanking you all the time for the opportunities and doors that you unlock for them. One of the reasons I'm on here is because this has been something that I wanted to pursue, and I just never, for lack of a better term, had the guts to do it.
Yes, sir.
Because I always would put thoughts in my head of why I couldn't do it. I don't have a journalism degree. I'm not tech savvy on that level. It has to be that group of people that can do this, but not me. And then all those things that keep going through your head. And I was like, well, I know how to talk to people. There's got to be something that can be of common good or of common period that could allow me to do this show. And one of my ways that I got involved doing this was I just like to know random stuff. And so I said, well, since I like to know random things, why not just do like the Randomness of Nothing, which is the R.O.N podcast? Talk to people who are successful in their fields. I saw you wrote, a number of books. And so I saw you read 3,000 books, which is crazy that you read 3,000 books. So it seems like you have a mind that's always on the go. That's awesome. That's awesome. Question. So when you do your motivational speaking, can you walk us through that process? Because obviously people are, and I saw that you do banks, you've done astronauts, you've done very successful people. But even those people find out that they need that extra kick or that extra motivation or that door that's open that they haven't thought of. So when you talk to successful people who are really good in their field, what are they still needing work on that they reach out? Because on paper, you think that they would never need somebody to reach out to. At least, me sitting on my couch. That's definitely true. And, and again, I appreciate, the time that you're giving for my first podcast. I hope I didn't bomb on my first podcast. And anybody that's listening,
you did good, man.
Know that Thank you. Anybody that's listening or will be listening in the future, we're going to be reaching out to people just like Nicky, who has been very valuable with his time. We want to find out what people love, what people do for a living, how they're successful. And this is going to be an ongoing journey on the R.O.N podcast to get people to open up and expand their minds a little bit, because there's only so much channel surfing you can do before you have to take those thoughts to action. And you have put in my mind that I need to act on things. And I hope people who are listening think the same thing. So I thank you for that. I look forward. Thank you so much. God bless you. I look forward to hearing from you soon again. Thank you so much, Nicky. Have a good day.